Thank you very much for this introduction. I did have the pleasure yesterday to be around the rodeo, but didn't even think about getting on top of it. So yes, I'll be leading this discussion, but of course, leading meaning that moderating, I have two really wonderful guests that are going to come on stage and present themselves. I'll make myself comfortable. There is Kaspar, a co-founder and CPO of Pactum. Please welcome him. And we have Thomas, who is the lead data scientist at Dynatrace. And we will be talking about the really hot topic of AI and automation. I think everybody thinks about how can we scale a startup, automation is the way, but also how can we actually help people in positions and make our life easier, right? So AI and automation is one way to do it. Thank you very much. So please, Thomas and Kaspar, I wouldn't want to take that away from you. Please introduce yourself and let us know about who you are and how are you involved in this world of AI and automation.
Okay, thanks, Kaspar. I will start. So, my name is Thomas Natschläger, and I'm a principal data scientist at Dynatrace. You may have noticed our company and some of the marks here. And Dynatrace is a world-leading company in the area of application performance monitoring and in the space of AI ops. And AI ops, if you look it up in the internet, you will easily find explanation like using artificial intelligence to automatically operate IT systems to automate cloud operations. That's the whole endeavor our company is taking. And yeah, we're also building out here a lab in Tallinn, where we're going further down the road, especially with, let's say, automating log analytics there. I'm coming from a background actually starting in computational neuroscience, which led me naturally into the area of artificial intelligence, which I was doing for the last 20 years in areas of discrete manufacturing, continuous manufacturing, and renewable energy optimization systems and things like that. And here in Dynatrace, I'm helping out to develop further our AI engine, which is called Davis. And Davis is basically really, let's say, the brain of Dynatrace, which shall give the intelligence clues how to automate things, how to make decisions in AI ops. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Kaspar. I'm a co-founder of Pactum. Really, thank you for sitting here. It would be very boring without you. My background is that I established before Estonian e-residency. Any e-residents here? Raise your hands. Woohoo! 5, 6, cool. And was running that for 5 years, and now recent 3 years then together with the 2 other co-founders, Kristen is in the back there, and Martin established Pactum. So what is Pactum? We are doing autonomous negotiations. If you are human, then you're having negotiations every day with kids at home or at work. And what we do is we have fully end-to-end made it automated. Our clients include like Walmart and Maersk, and our AIs at the moment, this moment, while they are sleeping in America, are reaching out to their suppliers and partners and negotiating deals, offering something to the supplier, asking something in return, and creating revenues, saving costs. And when they wake up after a few hours, then they see from dashboard how much they earned during the night again. And so this is pretty cool. I'm not the expert of automation per se. It's difficult to say even what we are doing, but very close to automation AI, like the RPA, robotic process automation, is something that has been categorized at what Pactum is, but the latest trend is then intelligent automation, meaning that this is the AI doing automations for us. So that's why it's an interesting topic, and we have, of course, most of our clients are the like global brands, which we all know, and it's interesting to see how to set up these AI bots for these large enterprises so that it would be aligned with human values of what the AIs will achieve there.
Wow, a lot of things to unpack already. So yes, as you mentioned as well, I would say from my side, I'm also more an enthusiast and let's say an advocate of everything that has to do with actually more data privacy and data science and AI. So based on both of your introductions, two things that I picked up and I really would like to get deep in is, on one hand, AI operations, right? How can you actually do that? How can you automate and create this environment? And then on the other hand, what does it mean when we're talking about intelligent machines? So essentially automating things that naturally and normally human beings will do, like negotiating contracts, right? And taking that power away. So I would start with you, Thomas. So tell us a little bit about AI operations.
Yeah, AI operations starts by incorporating all the information and data you need into one place, because for all the things you would like to automate, you ultimately have to understand the context we're operating in and the actions you take, what effects these actions have on, let's say, on the environment you're operating. And Dynatrace is operating in the environments of really large and complex IT systems. Think of Walmart. They are operating hundreds of thousands of infrastructure entities like hosts, which Dynatrace is going to monitor.
Walmart is your client also?
Sorry?
Walmart is your client?
Walmart is one of our clients.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I think one of the biggest ones in terms also of IT systems monitored there, right? And so automation starts at the very bottom here. Like you have to automate even the rollout of such a monitoring systems on 100,000 systems. You don't want to go there and do everything tedious, clicking around and installing the sensors on this system such that you can get the insights. So we are really automating all these kinds of deployments. And then a very important part is getting an overview even of the large-scale systems you want to monitor. And a very unique selling point of Dynatrace is the automated generation of a high-level view of the whole IT system you're monitoring. If you automatically installed our system on the whole IT system you're going to monitor, you will get a very high-level view on which service is talking to which service, which host is talking to which service, and on which, let's say, vertical tech stack you're operating. And this automatically automated discovery of the IT system topology provides the backbone of our Davis AI engine, because it really narrows down the search space when it comes to anomalies in such a system. Anomaly, for example, in the APMs, a typical anomaly in the APM space is that some user action response time is degrading. So it's, I don't know, from something like 200 microseconds, when you click on a buy button, it suddenly increases to, I don't know, 600 microseconds, right? And then a root cause search has to be triggered. And already when explaining you this example, you see there are some numbers in there, like what's a reasonable threshold, what's a reasonable, let's say, decision to take when actually to trigger something. And here we have on the one hand, let's say, the deterministic view of the world, of the system you're monitoring, which is pulled together by our agents and by our infrastructure, by our database, let's call it that way. And then on the other hand, there is lots of variables parameter coming in by the data. And here our, let's say, AI machine learning statistical models come into place to decide on when actually to trigger some certain deterministic searches, for example, right? And then based on that, Dynatrace automates the search for some root causes. And on top of that, using tools like our open source tool Pactum, you can plug in, let's say, arms and hands actuators to change actually things in the environment which you want to control, which you want to automate. So this is on a very high level what automation means for Dynatrace.
Thank you. That's a pretty step-by-step guide on how exactly you're doing it with a big client like Walmart. But then going back to also actually what you're doing, Kaspar, with what you're building, automating negotiations, which are normally undertaken by human beings, it poses the question of what kind of decisions can we automate and what we cannot automate. And especially when we're talking about an intelligent machine, like, can machines be really intelligent? Can they actually make the decisions that require context and understanding? Because what you were describing as well, it's a very, I would say, very standardized process, right? That actually makes life easier and takes away of the manual, boring tasks, right? And gets you to make better decision making. But what about other decisions?
Yeah, so it's let's keep on the Walmart, though whatever I say, it's not about our collaboration with Walmart, just to be sure, but it's great to have some real life examples. So what rights should we give to the AI to what extent they can form these decisions? Because if you're doing simple automation, like, I don't know, washing machine doing your dishes or whatever, then it's pretty safe, they can just break the dishes, it doesn't hurt that much. But if you allow the AI to run your business, then you kind of need to figure out to what extent to give the rights to them, and it's difficult because you have seen the AI horror movies. Maybe when you think it's aligned, let's say that you want to be very ethical, you say that AI be ethical, for example, when our decision making, and maybe next day you wake up, when the New Yorkers and the Pentagon people wake up, they see that all suppliers have been replaced by Ukrainian suppliers. Because it's ethical to support this at the moment. So you don't want to give that kind of level of freedom to the AI to run your business. So what we do with our clients is that we kind of build this contractual space of where we can form decisions so that we know the minimum limits, we know all the terms that can be negotiated, we know the upper limits, and we know kind of the trade-off values. And when we build this system, then inside that space, we allow the AI to form decisions. And surprisingly, the AI forms very good decisions because, of course, it can learn. So it knows what trade-offs to change, it knows what offers to make to each supplier, and it learns through that. But it never surprises us. Like, it never turns out that, AI came up with a new term, and because that would be too dangerous. We're speaking about contract negotiations that are worth hundreds of millions sometimes, and we can't allow a small mistake that can hurt hundreds of millions. So that's why the AI, yes, restrictions are very important, and limitations kind of in which form they make decisions.
Okay.
I just want to add to this. I think that's a very important part, and you also actually can see this happening when you look at the latest very, let's say, impressive results which brought forward by Google when they come up with AI agents which play this game StarCraft, right? And also the action space is actually limited, and the environment which the AI is operating in is super well understood. And I think up to now, it's a good idea to only let AIs operate in environments which you really understand, where you understand the actions they cause to the environment you're working in. And I think it's up to now to really get AI operating in let AI automate higher level decisions will only work where you basically can kind of either simulate the environment, like in StarCraft, right? Or you have long term of experience when it comes to the effect of these actions which you're taking on, right? So otherwise, I would say you're more on the dangerous side. So bringing it to the Dynatrace context, when you look at the Kubernetes environment or something like that, typically what's automated there or is like something goes wrong, then you restart some pods, right? That's a well understood action. Everything is reinitialized. Kubernetes environment will hopefully reach its desired state. But there is hardly any automation which as of now really changes a configuration in such an environment or even changes the source code of the system which is running in there, right? That would actually be the next step to really fix a thing, right? Restarting is just, let's say, a workaround, but to really fix a thing, you would need to change the source code or a configuration. And up to now, there is way too much a broad action space, which you described earlier in your example. This action space is way too broad to be safely explored by an AI to come up with reasonable solutions there.
So basically, AI is a very good assistant. So in the same way that you would have someone helping you out with a specific, I got distracted by you taking a picture. And then with the same way that you will have someone helping you out, right, as an assistant or an intern or someone junior, like that's how AI should be treated. So it should be with very clear boundaries, very clear scope of work, and then you just let it run within that same area, but supervising it quite a bit. Yeah, I guess like for me as well, this question is because I came across AI or the fascination around AI, let's say from sci-fi movies to RoboCop to like actually like in the last years you see also AI being used to regenerate even trailers. There was a movie, I think a movie was made, a thriller using IBM Watson to create the trailer, and actually it was uncanny how they made it, right? Or like they're using scripts to be able to even create, let's say, dialogues between people, sometimes very surreal, but quite entertaining. So I guess like moving to another topic around AI and automation, people are scared about it, right? So that's how it has also been portrayed in the media before, and I think there's one reason to do that is because of what does it mean in the future of work when it comes to AI and automation. So from your angle, how would you perceive that, and what do you think can be done from that perspective?
Yep, like, I don't know, raise your hand if you're worried that AI takes your job away. Like, yeah, I don't think we are too worried, yeah. Yeah? Too. Yeah. So sorry, no one hear too much, but basically, I think we are like pretty prepared for automation. Like talking about the washing machine example, I don't think you're too sad that you don't need to do dishes in the evening. Like different levels of automations happening in our lives all the time, and we figure out better and cooler things to do. So obviously, first reaction is that yeah, your job will be taken away, and has been taken away for some time. And even in negotiation space is always thought to be something that only humans can do. You need to play golf and have lunches together and really kind of learn each other to offer value to other party. But now AI can learn that value from data points and discussions the same way, and you don't need to play golf. In that sense, it is taking these jobs away, but it makes them more important. It makes them more valuable, what humans can do. At the moment, we are automating these negotiations that are very repeatable, very in masses, like very, very similar, and no human being likes to do this. And so what our clients are saying is that they can now work on more strategic deals and more kind of aligning where the AI should do. Instead of doing one negotiation at a time, they are aligning kind of do this, and now you can massively produce that to 10,000 suppliers, right? And the effect and the purpose of human is 10,000 times higher than the previous hour without kind of AI Pactum. So in that sense, it just empowers people, usually through automation. And I don't know, you can be here instead of doing dishes at home, and I don't know, it's cooler, I think. So.
Damn it, you just took away my dream. Yeah. It was my dream job to do the dishes at home. Thomas, would you like to add something on this, or?
I basically can translate what Kaspar just said into our domain, where let's say DevOps are not super happy about searching in tons of logs and try to figure out where actually the root cause is. If a system like Davis pinpoints them to the particular case, right? And then if this burden is taken away from that person, they really can concentrate on don't make this happen again, right? They can think about strategies to make the system more stable, to make the system more safer, right? So it, yes, for sure, maybe we need a little bit less work there, maybe, but even then, the people which work on the DevOps side, they get other tasks, right? They have to think a little bit more, can work on strategic things. And I mean, it's the whole way of evolution of automation. The very first bacteria were really, I don't know, they were all concerned about running away from heat, finding food and all that things, right? And this basically has manifested itself now in our nervous system. You don't have to think about when something is getting hot, you move your hand away, right? That's all automated away from your consciousness, and you don't have to think about breathing and all that stuff. That's all automated for you, right? So you can start living there, and I feel the same. What AI could bring to us, let's say, to the internship. The internship was a very powerful pocket calculator to come up with super reasonable numbers, right? That may be a little bit of a difference here, but because the AI can come up with really smart numbers to make the contracts high value. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are two good examples, like a washing machine for sure, or dishwasher, I hate it. But also, like, you don't really think about, breathing, and then it's something that you do automatically, and it's something that you do anyway. So I guess, like, on that note, I mean, we talked about a little bit on decision-making processes, or like, how can it help? How can AI and automation help in that? We talked about a little bit about the fear, but what about the excitement, right? What could this future look like? The future of AI and automation, like, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah. I can start, yeah. So this is obviously super exciting, right? Are you excited? Yeah. Your faces are so excited.
We can get them excited. Do you want to get them excited? Shall we just
I don't think I'm
no,
able
no.
to. But anyway, yeah, it does excite us, to be honest, at work. Like when we started doing autonomous negotiations, then they're doing one piece of negotiations, the bots at the moment while we speak here. But then we realized, and our clients realized, that they don't know what negotiations the bots should do. Kind of. And when you have 100,000 suppliers, like, you don't have time to kind of think about each negotiation and the goals of that. And where we are now going is taking one step back and say that before you start doing negotiations, let's figure out what you should do. Let's take the cool Walmart example. Like, so there are like hundreds of data points how today humans form decisions, whether you buy this kind of jumper or you're gonna buy this kind of shirt for the next season, kind of, to your shops, or bananas or apples or whatever assortment you have. And this depends on like how much people like those. It depends on how much people are willing to pay. It depends on the strategy of how big you want your market share in this space. Like, it depends on your profit margins per suppliers, economy around you. So, but there is no this kind of creative decision in mind that, oh, I think that this shirt will be hit next year, that let's buy this. It's based on data. And as we know, humans are not best in like gathering data and making these decisions. So all we need to do now is like gather these 20 key data points, and our AI knows what assortment Walmart should buy from now on. And not only do that, but actually make the negotiations, reach out and make negotiations and close the deals, and ask the next day the supplier to bring in. So basically that all you need to do is one day just allow the AI to do business for you, because it is doing maybe decisions on more informed basis than humans can do.
That's right. There's a lot of decision fatigue and decision paralysis, right? And when you do too many decisions, then actually you stop making good decisions, because you're making too many. And it's like the same thing as deciding which street you're gonna go from, the right or the left, like small decisions like that, or what you're gonna eat for breakfast, like where you're gonna take your kids for school, etc. So,
but
yes.
Even more scary is to think the governments, like as I was at e-residency before, and I was close to people who formed decisions how millions of people live their lives, And those decision making are like only emotional based. They're like, don't even have the data to look at, And we allow a few human beings to form decisions for the entire societies based on their political agenda or gut feelings. And I think this is what we see very differently in 50 to 100 years time, looking back at how stupid we were, kind of. Like, how can we kind of allow that decision-making process, strategic leading of governments or entities, kind of, for us. And we're not there yet, obviously, but I think we shouldn't be afraid of giving more space to AI in decision-making also, kind of.
You brought up a point I would actually be excited about, but using AI as a mechanism actually to establish a more data-driven decision culture as such, right? in every company, in every society. Because if you looked up what happened during the pandemic, there were so many emotions in is vaccination helping, not helping, and we were really lacking data to come up with objective decisions, objective opinions. There are all these fake news around. That would be exciting to see in the future, a more scientific and data-driven decision approach in general. And in the, let's say, Dynatrace world, obviously the vision would be that what you said, to take away the decision fatigue in all this DevOps space, right? There's all kinds of decisions you have to make, and they come basically, I don't know, every day, right? You have to make a decision, scale up something, upgrade something, and all this stuff, which on a daily basis, if you do that, becomes a repeated task. And I think no one would be super sad about if some automated machinery is doing that for him to take this decision, or at least, how it was called in old days, have a well-established decision support system to get rid of this mental fatigue, to come up with these decisions. Just do it, review it, do it, go to the next more strategic important thing.
That's right, and that's a great way to end, I think, like making our life easier, making decisions easier, and moving away anything that can actually create to this overflow of emotions, because in the end, actually, emotions are also data, but if you cannot analyze them using a sentiment analysis, then they're just overflow of emotions that they are there inexplicably. So, we are 30 seconds before end. Are there any questions from the audience? Oh, there was one. Oh, two, okay. Not sure who came first. Oh, well, yep. You're closer to the mic.
I just wanted to ask regarding negotiations. You said that you need to limit, otherwise it gets very bizarre. But afterwards, do you backtest those bizarre negotiations that the bot, without any estrangement, would have, and see if there is any benefit for your client to change some parameters or no?
Yes. So the machine learning in the background kind of helps to detect these, so that it's always like Pareto optimal outcome for both parties, meaning that both party gets maximum win out of each deal. But just restrictions are needed there because negotiation and business is so open world environment, and we don't know the cost or value of random terms what the AI could bring in. So this cost needs to be or value of these terms need to be evaluated by us before. And then there are cool things happening. Like sometimes we have watched a scene like the end result of a contract that is like, holy cow, this is super valuable and cool idea. How did you come up with the idea? And then it's like, oh, we don't know. It kind of learned by itself. So yeah, this is cool.
Thanks. Great discussion. I had a question, but then you talked about emotions, and I had another question, and then I couldn't decide which question is more important. So I'll just go with both of them. So first one is like, it kind of really threw me off when you said that emotions are also data. So are emotions data? That's one question. And another question is, in Pactum, how do you measure the performance of AI and make a decision to broaden its field of operations? Like, how do you, I would bet that you kind of have a step-by-step plan, like how do you increase the capacity, but how do you make decisions then to move from one step to another? Like, what are the metrics, and then how do you do it?
Yeah. In that sense, it comes from both ways. Like mostly it's availability of data from the more data sources we can put into the contract space, the more terms there are. Hence, the more terms, like mathematically, you can create more value for both sides. If it's only one term priced and you want higher, I want lower, it's like haggling. There are two terms, like do I pay you in 30 days or 60 days? We can already say like, oh, I'll pay you 5% discount if you pay it now. If there are 20 terms, then it becomes real negotiation contract space, meaning that there are always something that you prefer more and me less. And we can always make those trade-offs that both parties are getting better off, and come out from our zero-sum thinking mindset of bias that if someone wins, the other loses. This is exactly opposite of negotiations, and it mostly in enterprise solutions just means that we need a lot of data points kind of to increase more and more the value. But mostly suppliers also can give feedback like the other party, and like during negotiations, they will write what they want, and then we learn from that. And if it's valid, we add to the contract space all in all. So both ways. But emotions, data, please.
Oh, you want me to? Yeah. Well, I mean, emotions are a form of data, of course. Like even when you are looking at the markets, right? How they fluctuate is based on how confident you are in something or not, and that's usually as emotionally led. And emotions are a form of telling you for yourself, like whether you want something or you don't. Like even negotiations, right? You have a starting point to negotiate, and that's based on what you want. So you put rational decision making in it, which you take other points of data to analyze, but emotions are a form of data. Just different kind. Mind blown? Happy to abide. Cool. All right, on that note, let's go and have fun and get excited about something else. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.